back to Body Beautiful. We're talking about your skin, about protection from the sun. Safe sun is what Dr. Lee is calling it. First, let me remind you that we'll be taking your calls with any questions you have for Dr. Lee. The phone number, 800-440-4884. We'll also be posting the number for the doctor's office during and at the end of the segment. And remember, any advice we give you today, you want a second opinion. I brought a bunch of sunscreen with me. SPF, let's define some terms.
Okay, SPF stands for sun protective factor. And one of the ways to look at it is to say that as an SPF of 15 means that if it would take you 10 minutes unprotected being in the sun without the sunscreen product, you could stay in the sun for 15 times that, or 150 minutes without getting sunburned. Okay. That's the definition of SPF.
Well, everybody seems to think, you get to the higher ranges, the 45, the 70. So is it better to put on the 15 every day or there are
a couple of questions. So I'll answer your question first, which is that it is absolutely better to be using some form of sun protection every day. When you're in the car, you're getting sun exposure. If you go out to lunch and you think you're just running into, pick something up and you run into your buddy in the parking lot and you stand in the sun at noon, which is the worst time, for 10 minutes, you've got a lot of sun exposure. Glass does not protect against UVA.
Even in the fog?
Even
you
in
can be
the
getting
office,
burned in the fog.
Even in the fog. So there's no way to eliminate all UVA and UVB exposure by just without any sunscreen or with any of the products that we have. But what I want to go back to about the SPF is that although that's a very common understanding in terms of increasing your exposure to the sun before you get sunburned, what is poorly explained is, number one, that SPF only rates for UVB. UVB is what causes tanning and burning. UVA is another along the UV spectrum, and that's what causes skin cancer and genetic damage.
Okay, so
and
you want to see that it says UVA and UVB?
Even that might be misleading because SPF rates only for UVB, and the FDA does not regulate sunscreens as a pharmaceutical. They regulate sunscreens as a cosmetic. And as such, there's absolutely no protection in for the public in what is written on these bottles.
Okay, that's just great. So what's a person to do?
So what a person to do is to do what I call practicing safe sun, to understand that zinc oxide and titanium dioxide are two of the sunscreen products that are physical barriers. Zinc oxide protects against both long and shortwave UVA. Titanium dioxide only against shortwave UVA.
Those are good. PABAs are not good anymore,
PABAs
right?
are not
those
good.
And
the chemical sunscreens, such as oxybenzone or Helioplex or any of those, react with the skin to help absorb the superoxides that are formed by sun exposure. The titanium and the zinc oxide are actually physical protectors. They reflect.
Okay.
So what you want to do, to get back to, is that it doesn't matter so much what the SPF is. What you want to have is 3 to 7% zinc oxide in your sunscreen product.
There's the science. Let's try to get a call. Sonia from Berkeley, you have a question for the doctor.
Yes, I do have a question. I am now 43 years old. I'm an African-American woman. Back, I guess, 32, 35 years old, I've noticed that I started growing the little moles on the side of my face. I have a little mole at the bottom of my chin. That's the outie mold. And then an inner mold. And I've noticed that they're growing like around my neck and my back.
And does this run in your family?
No.
Okay.
I have not noticed on my mother that she had any moles.
Okay.
I don't notice on my father that he has any moles. And I was just wondering, should that be a concern towards me?
Is that, I'm sorry,
She's wondering if she should be concerned?
Well, it may just be what your skin is doing. Are you using sun protection?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be an issue of concern. But again, if you are concerned, go to your doctor, because it's very hard for a layperson to make assessments like this.
Well, certainly if you can't see it either.
Right, and it's hard for me to make an assessment
over the phone. Now, some people are prone to moles, but again, if they're irregular, if they bleed, if you're
prone to moles and you have moles all over your body, you should be seen regularly by a dermatologist who can follow those moles.
Are there some areas of the body that seem to be protected and yet you might develop?
Anywhere on the body.
All right. Well, I
Okay,
scare
obviously,
folks,
obviously the face, the shoulders, the arms, the top of the feet, the back of the hands, the ears, the places that do get sun exposure, even when you're fully dressed, are going to be higher risk. But if you have moles or a mole syndrome, then you're at risk not because of sun exposure, but because of the presence of those moles.
All right, I hope we scared
Some
you
moles.
enough, folks, because this is serious stuff.
This is serious stuff.
We have to take a quick break, but for more information about Dr. Elizabeth Lee, call her 510-704-2170 or check her out on the web at artfulsurgery.com. When we come back on Body Beautiful, I promise I'll take some more calls and we'll be talking about safe sun.